Here we are again. This is Extra Points. I'm Dan, he's Travis, and Travis, on Sunday, Philadelphia Eagles kicker Alex Henry missed two short field goals in the fourth quarter. The Eagles wound up losing to the San Francisco 49ers by just a point. Let's not do that to our fans this week, huh?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to talk a little bit about Portage's girls golf team at the sectional tournament on Tuesday, last Tuesday that is. But before we do that, Travis, getting late in the prep football season here, week 8 coming up tomorrow. Run down what we should know about the area prep football slate.
Yeah, there's a few games to note this week on Friday. One of them, Partyville, coming off a conference loss. That's the first time we could say that in a long time. They lost 20-14 in overtime to Oshkosh Lords last week. It ends a 44-game conference winning streak for them. Their last loss in a conference game was way back in September of 2005. So a rare conference loss for the Bulldogs. And what it means is they probably are not going to win conference this year. That's the first time, if that happens, that was the first time since 2004. But with that said, they still have a big game this week. They host Montello, Princeton, Green Lake. Both teams got identical 3-1 records in conference, 5-2 overall. The winner's probably going to finish second in the league, which is still important, probably for playoff seeding and maybe getting a home playoff game, stuff like that. So we'll see what happens. It could be a shootout. Both teams are averaging over 40 points a game on offense, but they also both play pretty good defense. So I think it will probably be a lower scoring game than that, but we'll see what happens there. Another game of note, Westfield travels to Adams Friendship. A win for Westfield in this game would mean that they are guaranteed a winning record in conference, which would make them eligible for the playoffs. And they have not been in the playoffs since 1997, so that'd be big for them. And I want to stress that they'll make them eligible for playoffs. They won't necessarily be in. They might still have to wait and see. But that'd be huge for them if they can make it. And the good news for them is Adams Friendship winless on the year. So it's a game they probably should win, but they always play them close, so I wouldn't guarantee anything. Other games, Poynette hosts Lake Mills. Lodi is at Watertown Luther Prep. Poynette and Lodi are both 2-1 conference, so a win on Friday will make them eligible for the playoffs. And they play each other in Lodi in the last week of the season, so it'll be games for them. Portage hosts Wanakee. Let's face it, Portage probably isn't going to win, considering they're winless. Wanakee is 7-0, rolling over everyone, defending state champs. But it might be an interesting game to go to if you want to see what a kind of a state championship football program looks like. So those are kind of the games this week that stand out.
Question, where were you the last time? No, I'm just kidding. And just a quick note on Westfield's potential playoff eligibility. Mm-hmm. Teams that finish with under 500 overall records, but winning or 500 conference records are eligible for the playoffs, mm-hmm. but not guaranteed a spot, whereas teams with overall winning records and conference winning records are automatically in. Mm-hmm. So good luck to Westfield. It's been a long time for them. Mm-hmm. Moving on to, like I said, girls golf down in Madison on Tuesday at Odana Hills. For the first time probably in Portage's 10 years as a girls golf program, the Warriors had a real chance to make it to state. And so regardless of how things turned out, that in and of itself was exciting. For the first 9 holes on Tuesday, the Warriors looked every bit poised to make that goal a reality and get to state. They had a 171 at the turn. All 4 of their scorers that would have ended up being counted, because out of the 5 golfers, only 4 count, were golfing outstanding. They had a 7-stroke lead on the field and, really looked good, but just wasn't to be. They weren't able to keep that pace on the back 9, and they wound up finishing 3rd, missing out on state. Only the top 2 teams advance. So it was a really a disappointing mood afterward. Obviously, the girls had set their sights on getting to state, and they knew it was a reality, a possibility, and it didn't happen. So they were obviously disappointed, but I think that the bigger thing to keep in focus on this one is what a great season it was. They set program records for scoring in an 18-hole tournament at 337, 9-hole tournament, dual meets usually 177, and they ended up winning their first invitational, their first tournament of any sort, when they won their own invitational at Portage Country Club, and they also won their first Northern Badger Conference championship. So, like Coach Ed Carlson told me afterward on Tuesday, those are things that are going to be in the record books and the trophy case forever. So even though they didn't make it to state, still a great season for Portage. And even and still there was a bright spot. Senior Sammy Grunder did qualify for state as an individual for the second straight year. She told me afterward she wasn't feeling very well. She wasn't able to practice with her team. Practice round on Monday before the tournament because she wasn't feeling well. Still wasn't feeling well Tuesday for the tournament. But despite that, she was able to score 10 over 82, qualify for state under obviously less than ideal circumstances. So a great accomplishment for her. She gets to play again coming up on Monday and Tuesday here at University Ridge in Madison for the 2-day 36-hole state tournament. So last year when she qualified, she finished 44th, right about in the middle of the pack with a 36 over par 180. So, it might be a tall order for Sammy to stay in the mix for a medal at the state tournament, but considering she was there last year, that gives her kind of a baseline. She can shoot at something to improve on, and hopefully work her way up into the mix. Anyway, anyway. So maybe you heard, but last weekend was a pretty incredible weekend for Wisconsin's top sports teams. Travis, what do you think?
Well, before I talk about that, I want to give a quick shout out to Luke Standiford. He's a former Partyville standout athlete, and he's a wide receiver at Southern Illinois University. Over the weekend, he caught his first collegiate touchdown pass, 7-yard reception against Western Illinois. They lost the game, but good for Luke. First TD, hopefully many more to come. But yeah, for the Wisconsin teams on the weekend, I mean, you had the Packers still undefeated. They rolled over the Broncos. The Brewers won their first 2 games of their playoff series with the Diamondbacks. And then the Wisconsin Badgers, that was the highlight of the weekend for me, the football team, just crushing Nebraska 48-17. I mean, they looked like the real deal. I think you got to talk about them as a national title contender now. And I mean, Russell Wilson, what can you say about this guy? I mean, amazing game. He does it all, and I don't know if he's a Heisman favorite. I think that's still probably Andrew Luck for Stanford, but man, as of right now, he's definitely in the top 3. I think. I mean, he is just impressive, and he's the reason they are rolling.
You've got your Brewers t-shirt on.
Yep.
I've got a Packers t-shirt on underneath this. I mean, I can't honestly remember a more exciting time to be a fan of Wisconsin sports in general. Obviously, there have been pockets of times the Packers have been pretty good, and the list goes on. But all at once, I mean, it's almost too much, really. It's hard to pick, where to focus your energy.
Yeah, I actually had to get 2 TVs out in the living room. Pulled the one out of the bedroom on Sunday so I could watch the Packers and the Brewers at the same time.
So, well, a lot more Brewers, Packers. The Badgers are off this weekend, but other than that, those other 2 teams going on this weekend, we'll pay attention to how they do among other area sporting events this weekend. And until next week, we will see you then.